We're back with Mark on the Creative Nonsense Podcast, like a year after everything that has happened. What
Yep.
has been up since then? You've released an EP, you've graduated, you've lived. What would you like to say for yourself, new big boy?
Yeah, so in case the snowball was obstructing this view here, this is how I'm, like last time I wore the SourceFed shirt, this is how I'm representing myself this time.
It's a new
Anyway.
era.
Yeah, I even wore this to my graduation, made a tweet about it, and then met Jack, and then told him that, hey, I'm the guy from the tweet. And that was cool. Anyway, that name drop aside. So the last time that I was on here, I just released Insolence, and the weird thing is that I'm pretty sure that is the first time that we'd like talked for any extended period of time. So
Indeed.
that it went in some directions, and hopefully we can stick to the core idea behind podcasting, which is concise, straightforward, focused content that knows exactly where it's going at all given times.
I try to imagine any podcast that goes by any script.
It's like Song Exploder and then the rest of us. But anyway,
You can only aspire to do so much.
Right. So anyway, so at that time, I just put out Insolence, which was my last EP. It was 11 minutes of garage punk type stuff that talked about type 1 diabetes and the American healthcare system, as you do. And since then, like literally the next month is when I started recording the EP that I'm promoting now, Participation Trophies. Which sounds very different, but as we might talk about down the line, has a bit more in common as far as the story behind its creation than you might think.
It was
yeah.
really good. I really enjoyed like the instrumentals. Like I made like notes like throughout it. I was like,
Hey, nice. And then I also got a bachelor's in journalism or whatever. Cal State Long Beach, shout out.
okay, so I want to know where, like you said, you started working on this fairly soon after like Insolence. Like, where
Yeah.
did you start to get like the idea for either like the sound or like what you're gonna like start writing towards?
So it's kind of a misnomer, actually, for me to say that I started working on Participation Trophies after Insolence. That's when I started recording it. In reality, basically, the 9 songs that combined make up Insolence and Participation Trophies were written probably between September 2016 and April 2017, with the title track from Insolence coming the following November. So this has been kind of crazily in the works for a while. Like really, like it was like this whole album's worth of tracks was made during my previous project, Learned Helplessness, which came out in 2017, and that took like 9 months to make. It was a very DIY produced baby. So I basically wrote all of these and just decided, you know what, first of all, there's a very clear divide here between like the rocky, angry political stuff that also touches on, you know, my endocrine system, and also this singer-songwriter, sad boy stuff that you could maybe get a little more experimental in the production department. So I separated those aside, just so I don't get too in over my own head, which I felt like I did with that full-length Learned Helplessness. And I did Insolence, just bang that out in like a month in early last year. And then as soon as that was done, I was like, yeah, I'm going to get this whole EP done over this summer. It's going to be out in like maybe October of 2018. Let's get these 2 done in 1 year since they were written in the same spurt. Let's go. And then we got hung up on the last 10% of instrumentals, and then the school year started. And then now it's out 2 semesters after that. Yeah.
I feel like being only 2 semesters behind on something is pretty good when it comes to like doing projects while you're in college.
True, but the impatience starts to build. Again, keep in mind, like, it's the exact same thing that happened with Learned Helplessness, where like 90% of the tracks were laid down in the first like 2 months. And then after that, it was just all these weird logistical things with like, oh no, I want to get this guy for synth parts, but like he has a school schedule going on. Like, oh no, now I have a school schedule, and now like the producer that I'm working with, he actually like he's going to school too, so it's like, and he also has work alongside that, so I can't technically go there during the days of the week when I would normally. So I got to wait another 4 months to have a proper session down there, and you know, one thing after another, and then now it's a bit over a year since I started recording it that I'm actually, you know, promoting the thing.
So many moving pieces to get everyone
for
together.
5 songs, by the way.
Yeah.
5 songs. At least when it took almost a year, the last time it was for 9 songs. I had an excuse for that.
But even like reading like the descriptions of like the songs, you have like a lot of like collaborators, like people who like came in to do like backing vocals or like someone to mix, and like I don't know. Getting 2 friends together takes like months of planning. So getting several people to all work on a project is a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know how like proper bands do it, really, because this is really, for those of you not in the know on Fully Involved, which how dare you, catch the what was it, 3-hour podcast that we did before, all of its necessary viewing for this. You can put it on 1.5. I'll forgive you. So the thing that I tell people in like the elevator pitch for what Fully Involved is that it's like a solo project. I do like maybe 80% of the instrumentals because, you know, I play guitar, drums, bass, all that, and I sing, which I've gotten like a little more confident in, but you know, only as like a vehicle for the songs. But I need to bring someone in occasionally that actually knows they're doing on an instrument. So it's like, if I need a crazy guitar solo here, I'll actually bring in a proper lead guitarist. If I need, you know, a crazy punk drumming, then I'll get someone in that has that kind of stamina. You know, or in this case, with those backing vocals from Aria, obviously I could not replicate that. And she knew she was doing way more than I ever could. Like, you'll see in the upcoming making up videos, she literally brought in sheet music and just like laid it out across the floor. And I was like, oh, I mean, this may be a solo project, but like, yeah, I would be screwed if I was literal to that. That's for sure. And then, of course, David, who also helped, who is like the main collaborator in all this, because he not only produced the thing, I not only record the whole thing in his bedroom, but he also did a lot of the drum programming and the synths and all that. So if not for all that, then what I'd be doing might still sound like that first EP I put out in 2014.
I like that you did all of your projects in a way that I really admire, which is like doing a channel where you have all of your progress over the years and just kind of keeping all of them there. I like when people have, I don't know, just their progress like always just out there. Like even if you feel like you're still like going towards something that like you're not always completely happy with, that like this is documenting in the moment like what I'm making and what I was feeling and like doing this.
You mean like the stuff on the YouTube channel?
Yes.
You mean like the making of videos I did for Insolence and stuff? Because those came out, because those did come out like after the fact. But I do know what you mean, because like because, you know, you got to keep the content going, you know, please the algorithm, not just, you know, upload the EP itself and then wait another year, because then that won't actually go into the sub boxes. And obviously I enjoy making the videos too, but in this case, like, it's just a nice way of, you know, letting people into the process, because the thing is, you know, I'm just coming off of the Mad Sounds channel, formerly Spin It Reviews, and at the time when I did this last interview, I didn't know that the podcast was dead, but now I've accepted it. But you know, because I have these years of video making experience behind me, like, it just made sense, like, might as well do something with this, especially because I've now taken official multimedia journalism classes where I looked my nose down at all the plebeians who didn't know how to work Audacity. So
the audacity of those people.
I hate to say a meme out loud, but maybe an all-time top 5 is the audacity of this caucasity.
Yes. Oh my gosh, where it has
there was a lot of there was some caucasity in there, myself included, I'll admit.
But I wanted to these were out of order when I listened to them. So I know I made notes on songs that are not in the right order, but I wanted to say
if you don't guess the exact track listing, I'm turning off this webcam right now.
I like Participation Trophies was 1, right?
Yes, I see. Title track was the first one this time. It was the last one last time. It's called Dynamic Contrast, kids.
Love me some Contrast, but the way that it sounds, I think that it was like the perfect intro. I need to actually listen to it in like the right order this time because it sounded like not the same as the way that Juno starts, but it sounded like the opener to like an indie movie is like how it felt to me.
I can kind of hear that. I mean, I like being compared to things I haven't gotten into. I have not seen Juno. Heard good things about it. I'm sorry.
I'm like, the soundtrack to Juno is like my entire. I was a 4th grader, just like all of 2007. I'm there listening to that album like all the time. Okay. Moldy Peaches.
There's a car horn going on just right out there, and I imagine that's like what the inside of your head was like when I said I hadn't seen Juno.
Indeed. It's
just zooming in, the screen goes red.
It's one of those movies that like shouldn't be as good as it is, but it's really just enjoyable and wholesome in its making.
And the horn started again. Fantastic. This is what I get for not closing, for feeling like I have to leave the window open because heat.
I mean, I just embrace the death feeling in here. There's no fan in this, and I have like a little mechanical fan plugged in back there, and I have to turn it off constantly because if I'm ever streaming, I just have to embrace heat.
Well, I mean, you know, I'm sure in Texas you kind of have to numb yourself to it after a while.
Oh yeah, what's California heat like right now? What is your heat?
It's not great. At the moment, I'm pretty sure it's like low 80. Yeah, it's 83 right now, and it is 5:48 p.m. The high was 84, the low is 62, and it's holy shit going to be 88 tomorrow.
It's fantastic. 96, but it feels like 102.
Hey, I don't like weather that's my birth year, okay? Chill out. Jeez, I want my weather nice and Gen X-y, okay?
Ooh. Mine is always just, this is what it felt like within the womb. And that's what it will feel like outside of the womb. Yeah. That's what Central Texas is like.
Gotcha. So the highs we got going on now, we got 84 today, then we got an 88. Weirdly enough, it's still going to be partially cloudy tomorrow. Thanks for... I know, this is the meat of the podcast. This is what you all stuck around for. We got 88, 86, 80, 75, 73, 73, 74. So, you know, the worst will soon be behind us, but...
Yeah, we're getting a cold front, which means that it's going to go down to like 82, 87, and then it's going to go back up to like the 95s, 90s.
Hypothermia. Yep. Yeah, there is. It's weird because like you know what? I wouldn't. And now the ice cream truck's coming. That'll be very tempting. But Mark, you're diabetic. Don't. But anyway,
I was gonna say throw some quarters out the window.
I know we're not talking about the diabetic songs this time, but had to drop it once. Oh yeah. I'm like maybe 10, 15 miles inland this summer. Because like I always lived coastal, like in every summer before the last one, because I was like, you know, going to Long Beach and stuff, and then lived in like, you know, Encinitas, so like always in beach towns. And this time around, I'm just like just enough inland that you don't get that beach breeze coming in. So now I have to deal with like, I remember last year I was door dashing around like Santa Ana and Anaheim, and I think the high was like 114 on one day. And for some reason, I just kept on doing it, but just go. But it was at any time I would go from my car to the restaurant, it was that full on like the SpongeBob perfume department. You know what I'm talking about?
Just saturation to.
Yeah, this is the first of probably many SpongeBob references that'll come up in this podcast.
I don't know. We got into weather, but I think we got there from indie movies. Oh yeah,
an indie movie. Participation trophies like an indie movie, and now we're here.
Yes, indeed.
Continue the praise, please.
Oh yes, this one. It depends on if you're a fan of these groups. I don't know how you'd feel about this. The instrumentals on "If for Just a Second," it reminded me of like a mixture of "Just Like Heaven" by The Cure and all these things that
Oh,
I've done
hey!
by The Killers. It's like somewhere in
Funny,
between.
funny you freaking mention that, because so I'm also I was, when I was at Cal State Long Beach, I was in this thing called the Musicians Club, and that's where I managed to get the first few fully involved sets in. I just put, by the way, the last upload on the fully involved channel is the first ever live set. So, and that was from an event from this Musicians Club, and we just did this final event last week where I ended up singing on a Cure song, "Why Can't I Be You?" So on one record store trip, I saw a copy of this Cure album, "Kiss Me, Kiss, Kiss Me," just happens to be on the desk right now. So the fact that you say that, we weren't it wasn't about that, but like, hey, coincidence.
It has come to fruition.
By the way, this is a very long and very weird album. It's 17 tracks, it's like 74 minutes, and there's a lot more weird, dark, ambient instrumental stuff than you might expect. And that was Cure Corner with Mark.
I love The Cure so much. It's like what I grew up with because my mom's a huge Cure fan, and so it was like that, some Korn, a lot of Metallica. I can't remember what I was watching. No, it was definitely.
Well, no, you're talking about how the song reminded of "Just Like Heaven," which thank you.
You're welcome. But yeah, it was definitely that, and like all these things that I've done, like somewhere in the middle of there was like where those instrumentals were. I was like, it feels here, like definitely in this spot.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. Like I've always said, like I love being compared to acts I haven't gotten into, but I think it's even better when it's ones that you have, because like. I like me, Just Like Heaven, and I like me, The Killers. So, especially that song especially. So yeah, I mean, I think that the comparison points for that. I think that just like especially like lyrically and thematically, I almost want to do like "Walk the Moon" by way of "Car Seat Headrest." I'm not sure how much that combination would like resonate with the people watching this, but like I use as reference points. For David, the producer, I played him like, Anna Sun from "Walk the Moon." I think I played a couple 1975 songs, just for that, very 2000s dance rocky kind of vibe, because this is definitely like, it's definitely like the most like bombastic thing, most like arena rocky thing that I've done to date, so I wanted it to really contrast with the rest of the record and being like its soul banger, so yeah, that comparison, I'm very flattered by it.
I'm like, now that you bring that up, I'm like, I was thinking about Reverb. Reverb has such like gradually more like emotional instrumentals as like you get towards like the end of it, that just because you said that like "If Just for a Second" is like the banger of like the album, and I'm like, Reverb is definitely like the emotional one.
Yeah, I mean, I think that all of them are kind of the emotional one, from different angles. But yeah, like I think the title track and Reverb they're the most directly sad boy.
Yes.
Like I deem the whole thing my Cynthia acoustic singer songwriter sad boy record, but those two especially are like the most like the most like obviously pick it up on the first listen sad boy stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like Reverb especially, like that one, like for the lead guitars on that, like I was really listening to a lot of like a lot of Beach House, a lot of REM. I think like that kind of lead guitar work, that kind of arpeggio-y, jangly, reverb touch, no pun intended, kind of vibe, is definitely the lead guitar route that I like going on, as opposed to, the dweedly, shred stuff. So that's where I got to really, those tracks are really where I got to have some fun in the guitar department and just create that atmosphere.
And I know this isn't in your genre, but just because you were mentioning like certain things that like you were listening to like get the sound, Dave Malloy, who does like Broadway stuff, for all of his musicals, he makes like playlists for each song that he makes. So he just made a musical called Octet, and so for each of the songs, he has like all the things that like influenced him, and he has like a playlist of it, and some of them are like super, super strange. His musicals are very strange, but like the range of things that like influence a person is fascinating. And so I just like wish that more people would, I don't know, just be like, I was listening to this while I'm writing, and be like,
Yeah, I feel like people should
where
be
did
more.
this come from?
I feel like people should be more open about that stuff, really, because like sure you can make a new sound, but it's still gonna be like a combination of stuff you've heard plus your own
Yeah.
personality. So when people, every now and then you get an artist being really cocky in interviews, being like, yeah, this is like nothing we've ever done before, I don't know if that was British or Australian, what I just did there, but they're just like super pretentious about it. But it's like I was like, but that said, like there's definitely a wide range of influences. Like obviously, this is the first time where like I've kind of been a little wary about like, are people gonna miss the old Fully Involved? Because like, the thing I've been saying leading up to participation trophies is that like this EP, as proud as I am of it, and even though it was written at the same time as Insolence, it sounds nothing like Insolence at all. Because like, the comparison points I was getting for Insolence were that out for like bands I end up getting into, or like the bands I was trying to emulate on that were like Weezer, Bad Religion, The Wonder Years, and then the people I was playing with were throwing out comparisons like Thrice, No Effects, just like super like punk, sort of hardcore, more alt rock, distortion-y kind of stuff. And this time around, I'm talking about like Beach House and like Gaslighting is basically my attempt at writing like a I was getting a lot of Tom Petty, Fleetwood Mac kind of vibes coming in. So it's just like so much just different stuff feeding in, and I think that's just what keeps things interesting to make, I guess.
Yeah. I really like being able to change the voice and the sound that you have in any of your projects. Just like having that freedom. I know it's like you always have to like worry about like what your audience will think to a degree, but knowing that like you're happy with wherever you're going at that moment is just great.
See, that's maybe the one thing about having, 40 followers on Twitter is that I don't really have to worry about letting down this about like confusing this gigantic pool of listeners. I can just be like, hey, what do you guys think? Close friends and people associated with them. Yeah, it's cool. Okay, I can keep doing my thing. But that said, I do listen to criticism like a lot, and I would prefer to get more of it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's I guess it's kind of a blessing in a way, but yeah.
I was just thinking about that with projects, because sometimes I get very scared, even though I constantly try and like post things so that I don't get so scared all the time of like posting like poems. Sometimes I really get freaked out about like certain projects, like, oh, this thing's like very different. Should I like post this thing or should I save it? And I just saw a New Yorker cartoon yesterday that was like, oh, I'm really holding on to this project until I have like a bigger audience for that, or until I have a different audience for that, or the right audience for that. And it's just I don't know, some people, yeah. And a lot of things are just, because a lot of my friends ended up going to grad school for like writing, and like they're gonna do like MFAs, and so that's like a very different audience for poetry. These are people that don't like post their poetry in places. Their idea of things is to like publish and like get it in a journal or get it in like the New Yorker or get it into something, and I'm over here being like, I'm gonna post things to the internet, and like that is looked down super in like academia.
Yeah, I don't even know if can you get a master's in journalism? I don't even know.
You definitely can, but like,
yeah, but if it was, if it was, then I definitely never looked into it. Like there would be like these star reporters for the school paper, and I would just be in that newsroom being like, yo, you guys have fun with that. Anyway, about this record store day thing, I'm just gonna, just kind of working on my own thing and just being like, you guys have fun with your, political reporting and stuff that actually matters. I'm just gonna be over here talking about music and whatever.
And that's also how I feel sometimes. It's like, am I like the silly, goofy one, just like around doing stuff? But then, what is it? Because I see things that like my peers write sometimes, and theirs are a little more either like politically or like sexually like charged, and I'm over here being like, I'm gonna write about some food some days. Sometimes I get hungry while writing. Sometimes I write about ice cream, and
I
that's
mean,
just
hey,
where I go.
if you want to write about, if you ever want to write something that's more sexually charged, you can still talk about the food. There's an audience for that.
That definitely has an audience. And then sometimes that was the thing that people would look into in workshops, which is hilarious. Is that some people would like look into like the deeper meaning when you're like workshopping a poem and be like, oh,
But
like
like,
this is like this phallic thing, or you're talking about this, and I'm like, I was really just talking about food because I was hungry at like 3 a.m. Like,
they'll just try to like genius annotate everything.
oh
You
my
know,
god. I'm curious about what is it? Because this was like your last year of college. In your journalism classes and stuff, did you guys ever like critique each other's like work for things?
it would depend on the assignment. I don't think we did that too much. I think the closest thing is that, because I did this one class that was like in-depth reporting for the Daily 49er, which is the Cal State Long Beach paper, obviously. And that was my first experience working with an editor, and that was interesting because, I've been just putting stuff, I'm just, plattering stuff on the internet. I was trying to say putting and splattering, and I ended up saying one word, but you get the idea. That was my first time, but, when you do that, when you do YouTube stuff, it's just like, you just put it up there, But in this case, I actually had to, like, run by, like, people that might not know all of what you're talking about. Like, for example, when I did this record store day story, because the one story that I actually managed to get put in, like, the physical paper was on record store day at this record store called Fingerprints in downtown Long Beach, and that was a lot of fun. Basically talked about the in-store performances there, and at one point, so the big performance there was actually from half of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Josh Klinghoffer and Chad Smith did a free performance, in-store performance there, playing songs from a new 7-inch of T-Rex covers. So that was a lot of fun. I ended up talking with the bassist that played with them, who used to be in Jane's Addiction and stuff like that. That was really cool. But I was writing about it in the story, and this is in a Google Doc, so it's like the editors basically make changes by putting in little suggestion comment things. And I talked about these guys were promoting a new 7-inch being sold that day, and the guy just highlighted it and said, "What's a 7-inch?" And I have to be like, oh yeah, like not everyone in this college demographic in 2019 knows about vinyl formats, So I guess like having other people to answer to can run you into dilemmas like that.
Yeah, having people who know what like popular knowledge is, like besides you, because all of us are like in our own little bubbles, and especially if you guys get to like write what you are passionate about, like whichever subject like interests you, that's definitely like you definitely need other people to bounce those kinds of ideas off of, because otherwise I end up being like talking about a certain thing, and only the group of people who follow me will understand it, and anyone else will be super confused.
Right. I mean, yeah, that's about right, especially because, another point of contention in that kind of ended up blowing up in my face and got me into a very, very temporary falling out with my editor, is that I tried to relay, like, a piece of banter that Josh was saying from the stage during that about how he got how he was asked to do the performance on very short notice, and he was like, oh no, and he was like, oh no, I now I actually have to remember these lyrics, and as you can tell, and as you guys can see from that last song, I did not. Now, I thought that would translate perfectly fine to just text. My editor just did not understand the chronology of that story, so I just end up deleting it just so I don't totally piss everyone off.
I like the mini fridge. I definitely need one of those.
It's a college kid aesthetic I just took with me after graduation, because like there is a regular fridge in the living room, but this is when it comes to just a place for your insulin and Powerade Zeros, you need one of those.
I wish I had like a microwave in here because at times during the night I do want like a baked potato at like 2 a.m. and my mom's room is like right there. So I'm like, I'm a night owl and I don't know what it's like living at home again.
The struggle, the absolute struggle.
I'm like, I'm on the same schedule as like morning people who have jobs. That's fun.
I was a morning person who had a job once. I had a gap year where I worked at a bagel shop and had shifts that started at 6 and 7 a.m. That was a
Ugh.
fun times.
Wait, so you took a gap year, like right before like college?
So, okay. So, I took the 2 years of... Sorry if this is peaking, by the way. But anyway, I'm sure you can edit that stuff out. So I took the 2 years of community college, got the and I was initially going to be going just straight over. Actually, I think I already told the story.
I'm like,
In
you
the
might
last,
have.
yeah, in the last one where I went to this one university, I was majoring in communications, and the professor was just like, just so you know, this won't be a straight path to a job anyway. Da da da. And he just made that offhanded comment, and I was like, oh yeah, why am I here? I don't think this communications thing is going to lead to anything, so I just left after a week and just, me being diabetic naturally decided to start working in a bagel shop, where I did for about 9 months before going up to Long Beach. And yeah, that was basically like the year of 40-hour a week honest labor, that I've had in my life.
And I'm
May
curious
it be
now.
the last.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm like, how do you feel about that now that you've graduated? And like, how do you feel about, I don't know, the prospect of the future?
The future, capitalize the future, TM.
I almost, if I had put something on my grad cap, it would have been like the Squidward future, just in like Chrome. Like, that would have been ideal.
Well, in Chrome text?
Just like that Chrome background where he's like freaking out.
Jesus. Oh yeah, the future. Yeah, I'm gonna start applying for jobs soon, but in the meantime, I got a decent amount of money thanks to my parents to, as like a cushion right now, and I'm also doing some door dashing whenever I can. So between that and jobs and making this sweet fully involved content, that's about my life right now.
Sounds like a pretty solid life. I need a car. That is my next goal in life, and a license.
I mean, are you planning on going to the hit the budding entertainment capital of Austin soon? Or it's Austin, right? That's Texas City that does that. That's where like Rooster Teeth is and stuff, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because I feel like I'm hearing more and more about like that being one of the places.
Yeah, it is like the tech and film industry in Austin is just like blossoming, but so is rent, and so that's why I'm back home right now. But if I can find a job in Austin, I would not mind going back.
Yeah. Because I'm in a weird transitional state right now where like I just rented a place in the far off exotic land of Garden Grove, which for those of you guys not in the know about OC geography, it's basically about 10 miles east of Long Beach, and then just like right next to Anaheim, basically.
Okay.
Which you think Anaheim would be, you hear Anaheim, you think, oh, Disneyland and VidCon and stuff, but it's, I mean, I'm sure there's some opportunities, but like I'm pretty sure that I'm going to be, if I do get a full-time position in anything, journalism, media, entertainment, whatever, it's going to be closer to LA, realistically.
Yeah. I'm like, Anaheim is like a desolate land with a cheesecake factory. Like that's about it.
Wait, you know about the Cheesecake Factory and the Anaheim Garden Walk?
I have been to the Cheesecake Factory.
That's such a specific reference. And okay, I talk about DoorDash. I can never go one DoorDash shift without going to that specific Cheesecake Factory. I've maybe picked up orders from that specific Cheesecake Factory like over the course of maybe 4 months. I've done DoorDash combined, maybe like a good 40 times.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Or just like it's if I'm doing it regularly over the course of a week, it's at least 3 times a week, guaranteed.
That's so funny, but like
and
what
I'd
I'd
expect.
Yeah.
And like it's not, they don't always even have cheesecake in the order. which like I understand they have more than cheesecake. It's just a branding at this point, but still. And granted, you know, that got me introduced. So like every now and then I'll like congratulate myself after a shift by just heading back there and getting their low carb Splenda cheesecake with strawberries, a slice of it for $9.
How is that cheesecake?
Pretty good. For as by the standards of artificially sweetened cheesecake, not as bad as you might think.
Okay. I mean,
Not
I love me
always
some
worth-
cheese and love me some sugar.
Yeah. I mean, I love me some cheese because it tastes good and doesn't have sugar. Unless you're a corporation that just wants to put sugar in everything to get Americans addicted. # open your eyes, sheeple.
I'm just thinking about like ConAgra Foods and the amount of corn syrup and everything.
Yeah, that too.
Corporations. I went into like
Nice.
deep mode and like documentaries in my mind of like all the ones I watched about like food production and like the America lobbying system. Traumatic.
See, now I mean, if you want to talk about the deep-seated themes behind insolence, I feel like I'm sorry, we already did that. We already made that content. I can't help you here. We're talking about introspection here in this EP cycle.
I mean, I enjoy some good themes. I need to listen to this more because I'm like I haven't broken it down enough. I've gotten through like the sound layer and like how I feel, but I need to listen more to how you feel within the songs.
Thank you. But you know, it's weird because like I have this divide in how I write now, where like at this point like I have basically 2 songs like in the bank that I'm pretty confident in for the future, and one is this like very soft acousticy, like straight up love song with sort of a sad boy introvert angle to it that is probably gonna have like a piano and like a very slow to mid tempo sort of drum beat to it, very sweet, you know. And then the other one's just like and the other one is just like this kind of scuzzy garage rock thing about conservative ideologies. So I kind of have this. I'm trying to figure out like what the fully involved ethos is, and I still frankly have no idea.
And that is why the market of singles exists.
Yeah, I mean, I could do like, I guess I could do like an A side, B side, like the 2 faces of fully involved, you know.
Now I like that idea a lot. I'm like, wait. I was thinking about like the cover art already in that moment, and I'm like, there's so many possibilities that could be.
It's just like me on one half, and the other half is just like a horrifying Photoshop fusion of every person I've ever worked with.
Ooh, that could. Just like one of those like composite images where
Yeah,
you just like stack them.
like that one Nightmare Fuel Queen album cover from the late 80s or so.
I do not know this cover. I'm
It,
like, you have a
it's
lot larger of like a frame of reference.
It's Wikipedia knowledge. I have Wikipedia knowledge. You know,
as most journalists do.
Yeah, I mean, we could take a second to like tangent and look it up. It's probably not as Nightmare Fuel as I remember. But yeah, where the frick do we go from here?
I don't know. I'm like, we got into like something about like food production. We were in Anaheim. That's where we were. We were talking about jobs.
Ooh yeah, jobs.
We got there
Yep.
off of Splenda cheesecake. That's really funny.
Oh yeah, and like the least they could do is make it stevia, you know? Like
Yeah.
even Starbucks has stevia now, and that stuff won't give you cancer.
The amount of things that I know about like fake sugar, because my doctors were like, when I had like a IBS, when they were like, all these things can upset you. Same with like your fibromyalgia. Like these are things that your body does not like. I had to like stop with like the aspartame that's in like Coke Zero, which is like all I consumed for like a good year and a half of college.
Subscribe for more IBS talk.
Yes, I need to put health videos on here. I almost made a podcast just about health problems. I really thought about it. And I thought about you, and then my other friends with like heart problems. And then I was like, oh, I know a lot of people who are diabetic, so I wanted to do one with like my grandma too. And I was like, this could be interesting if we all just talk about the struggles of healthcare.
Yeah, you can go into like a rabbit hole there, and like you'll have people coming after you if you touch on touchy enough subjects. So.
Oh, but that's the joy of the internet. If you don't
Oh,
upset
yeah.
someone, what's the point of being here?
Subscribe for more reactionary content.
Ooh, the commentary channels. The New York Times are coming for them today, it seems.
Yeah, where they used picture text association to make Philip DeFranco and ContraPoints look alt-right. Cool.
Yeah,
Accurate.
I was
Accurate. That's some accurate journalism there, friend. That's exactly what I learned about why these legacy publications are exactly the people that should be controlling the future of media.
I love that shade being thrown at the old establishment.
I just tossed the whole canopy.
You say canopy, and then I think of that video streaming website that we always used to college for like everything. That
Really? I'm trying to remember what you're talking about.
the control of like canopy is like everything that you can't access directly as like they have like Cleo from 9 to 5, which is like a French film from like I don't even know what year that's from. The 30s, the 20s.
I can't believe I don't know this internet reference.
I took many film classes because I was rejected from the film program. And
How does that even happen?
I was like a fake film student. It's because
How does that? How does someone become a fake film student?
you just take all the classes that they let you take without having any of the prerequisites for them. It's so much fun. But
Nice.
yeah, when I was a microbiology major freshman year, and then like the next spring I applied to the film program. But the inter-university transfer students, they only accept like one person every semester, which is ridiculous. Like unless you're an incoming freshman, you like can't get into the film program because it's so high in demand. And so
Jeez.
I became an English major with a focus in creative writing, who took like probably like at least 5 film classes. I probably took more. I took several editing and like film studies stuff.
Yeah, I took a couple things that were like tangentially film related, but not actually in the film department. Where like we have to like watch a movie and then write an essay about it. I think I talked about it in the last. Yeah, I did talk about it in the last podcast. So I wrote how I wrote essays for like these classes about comedy, where I like talked about like some like Get Hot and South Park and Blazing Saddles and essays and stuff. That was fun. But yeah, that's about as deep as I got as far as film studies. Which I mean, in hindsight, would have been nice for if I'm gonna be making more video content in the future. But you know, I already got what I did behind me, so there's that.
So if I'm dragging myself to Austin, you're gonna be dragging yourself to like LA and going towards. Do you want to go more towards like the journalism or like the video content?
I mean, I said I think I say in my LinkedIn that my specialties are like features, profiles, multimedia, content production, just any way you can sugarcoat anything but hard politics.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I like keeping up with it, but I don't I don't think I'm a bad journalist, but I think I'm a bad reporter, and like just. I think I can always soothe myself with the thought that what I'm talking about doesn't really matter at the end of the day. And I can't do that if I'm talking about the presidential administration.
You don't want to be molding the public consciousness in that way. You don't want to be part of that.
I have far too many deep-seated insecurities for that kind of thing.
Understandable. That's why no one ever wants to touch it. And the people who do have to be interesting people too.
So I want to go into the much more stable world of a digital content production.
Stable.
Those ad revenues. Ooh, that's just one up and up, one flat line of stable quality that's never changing anytime soon.
My favorite thing about because while I haven't been actively uploading any videos to my like personal YouTube channel, I've been working on other projects in the background. And so like one of them's like the VOD channel for like the Twitch stuff. And the amount of times that it's just like, oh, you can't monetize this, like, this is a copyright claim, these are these things, and I'm over here like, I don't care anymore. I'm not gonna make money from
Oh
this
yeah.
internet thing. It's fun. It's
Oh
great.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, literally, the only reason why I got pissed that my channel fell under the requirement for monetization when that started being a thing is that I had like $73 worth of ad revenue, and
Oh,
you need
you're right
100, and
there.
you needed 100 in order to get your first check, and that now that 73 is just sitting there forever. You can't cash it out for some stupid reason, which they should have had an option for that if they're gonna cut it off. But whatever. Google just needs to hold all that however they can. They need that. So that's like my one gripe with that. But other than that, is like, well, I was never making money off of my content in the first place, so nothing's really changed except that those channels are dead now.
What a joy. The internet thing is just. I've had a life crisis the past several months just
Ooh,
because
go
of
on.
just because of sugar pine and the things that have happened, and source fed the past 2 years, and of course Smosh.
Can we get an F in the chat?
Oh, it's too soon for the hat.
Yeah, you're right. I told you personally that I was gonna refrain from wearing this hat again until I caught up on the last few months, and now I have a pretty good reason to catch up on Sugar Pine 7 now.
Please do.
But throw it, hope it lands on the hook. It did not. Moving on.
But yeah, even like, I don't know, Smosh is like an example of something that was like doing amazing and like still got like closed down when it was like under what was the name of their production company?
Defy.
Defy.
They defied common human decency.
I'm like, did you listen to the podcast that they made, like the first one, like back? Like I don't
Yeah.
even, I haven't even watched Smosh in several years, but the podcast that they made about like Smosh ending and the whole Defy thing was just wild.
Yeah, weirdly enough, that whole situation is what made me end up subscribing to the Smosh Pit, because after that I was like, oh, what's this try not to laugh thing? Oh, everyone here is amazing. How? So they've just been constrained by the sketch format for kids, but it's like when you allow them to actually just be funny people, it's good content.
It's like, wow,
I mean,
these people have talent.
I mean, we all miss Anthony, but like now instead of 2 people, there's a lot of them. They're all doing good stuff. So shut up, people. Stuff stuck in 2008.
I am one of those people probably. I haven't watched like their videos that aren't podcasts or like other side things like the try not to laughs in a while. So like I don't know what their main like content looks like anymore.
Yeah,
But,
I still don't watch anything on the main channel.
yeah, I'm
Really.
like, but as people and like other things that like I see them posting, I always usually enjoy it, and I like all of their personalities. Like Courtney's good people. Shane's good people. I enjoy them. The other people, do I know their names? No, but they're funny.
And that's all that matters in the world of content.
Exactly. Will you click on that video thumbnail if you see them in there?
Yeah, I mean, like the Valley Folk were in a couple of those try not to laughs. You got to get on that.
Oh, wait. I'm thinking about the trivia bidet videos.
Oh yeah.
I love those videos so much. Like, Valley Folk is bringing everything that I enjoy about content together, which is like sketch and like dumb reality things and just like bits that no one will ever understand. I love me a good bit that makes no sense to half or more than half the audience.
To wear on a t-shirt and hope to God anyone that you ever interact with in real life sees it, and then you can be instantly best friends. It's very high risk, high reward.
Indeed. But you can monetize that.
That said, obviously wearing this to VidCon, and I expect to make many friends because I would very much like that.
That sounds like the perfect place to network at the moment as well, which is like,
oh yeah,
that bad thought that's in the back of my mind, but I'm just like, networking at VidCon these days? would be amazing.
I just came back from Staples like 3 days ago with this thick-ass stack of download cards.
Are they looking good? Is the card stock set in?
Yes. And it is card stock. Thank you very much.
Oh my god. I hadn't thought about RTX. I was like, do I make business cards for RTX?
You hear that flip book sound?
That's amazing.
Gonna make it rain on them content creators.
But I just had the terrible idea that I should totally advertise my Google Analytics and like YouTube Analytics.
Just carry around a giant poster board of a bar graph.
Be like, freelancer needs job. I will be your graphic designer. I will be your writer. I will be your Google Analyticser. What do you need? I can do it. I promise.
Yeah. Will content produce for exposure?
The broken heart of me and Pokimane. She had asked at one point to like for someone to do her like Google or like YouTube analytics, and then she DM'd me after I said that I could do it, and then she ghosted me.
Wait, is this an exclusive? Are we getting tea? Are we getting tea?
This is a bit of tea. This is the first time I'm putting in like video that isn't on Twitch.
The Powerade Zero tastes exceptional today.
But that really hurt me inside. I was like, Pokey, do you know what that could have done for me? I was like, do you know how broke I am?
Yeah.
It just hurts a little bit when you're like, I was so close, yet so far.
And then you just went went to eat your feelings in a large poke bowl.
I will eat my enemies instead.
I love how you went silent. That didn't even deserve a boo. That just deserved scorn.
Because it's just like, I still feel it in my soul every day. I just look at that DM and I'm like, did I misread it? I was just like, hey, I could totally help when she said, I saw that you could do this. And then I just waited forever, and she never replied.
Yeah. Just
hurts a little bit when you like really want a job, and then also knowing that like RT is on a mainly hiring freeze also hurts.
Honestly, like what hurts more? It's like sure, like I'm trying to figure out what hurts more: getting ghosted by your crush or getting ghosted by Pokimane.
Probably Pokey at this point. Because what do I want more right now?
You even call her...
job.
You were even shortening it... You were even going shorthand with Pokey. Like, you want to build a rapport. F, I'm just hitting the F button right now for you.
F is for failure.
That burns down the whole tower.
The UT tower. You really are typing.
I mean, I was typing. I wasn't intending on pressing enter.
I just love that it just says like Mark
is typing. I wasn't even thinking about that.
No job, sad boy land.
Well, I mean, we were like that to begin with, but now
True.
We're just being open about it.
Because we used to be unemployed, but that's okay when you're like a college student. Now
Exactly.
We're just unemployed people in the real world.
I mean, you could always. I'm not sure what the DoorDash market's like in Texas, but you could always just do that to kill some time.
This is still I need a car. Otherwise, I'd have to lift to get the food.
You're the DoorDashee in this case.
Mm-hmm.
On that side.
I had Uber Eats brought to my house earlier today when we came back from Austin. I got a gift card for graduation, and
you're
so
helping
I was
the competition.
I want some Applebee's, and I had some pasta. I had some chips and queso. It was quite enjoyable. Took a fat nap after that. All that cheese in my stomach. But yeah, I'm like, right now I can't even be employed by something that isn't freelance because I don't have a license or a car. It's the true struggle. So I'm looking at jobs for November. That's my prospect right now. Like, I need to give myself like the summer to get a license, like September, October to get a car, and then like November, ideally, is like when I would be starting a job.
Nice. Cause I did take one class that was all about freelance writing. where they talked about, query letters and like all like the little things like that, where you actually have to like pitch yourself to companies on a regular basis, and I'm not sure if I have the confidence for that, but I can sure as heck try.
Saying pitch yourself is exactly how it is, because you have to throw yourself at everyone and beg them for a job, which I've done many times. It's so much fun. So much fun. Hoping that anyone will think that you're competent in any way, and then getting passed over for people.
And then having to present ideas, and they're like, no, that's not the ideas we want. And okay, and you're like, okay, have a good day. Or maybe you're just too scared to pitch those ideas in the first place because they're like, no, they'll just think it's stupid.
Yeah, that's finding a place that has the right fit is also just like going to be a struggle for anything. Just, I don't even know where I'd like a work environment to be at this point.
Exactly. So I just kind of want to be thrust into whatever at this point, just be told to get used to it. That would be nice. I definitely prefer that over freelancing, just so I don't have to overthink everything more than I already do.
Yeah. That's the one thing about even remote working right now, is that I'm constantly just like, before I submit this, how is this going to go over with everybody? But I forgot that the bosses that I've been working for this past year just decide that they want to change everything all the time anyways. So it doesn't matter what I do.
Nice.
Makes me feel better sometimes. Other times it's just like, I've been working on this for 2 months and now we're changing everything again.
But yeah, and in the meantime, I'm just, hoping that there'll be I'm still sticking to the pipe dream and thinking like, maybe I can try to line up some live shows for Fully Involved and like see if like some person from, I don't know, Sub Pop sees me playing at an open mic on acoustic and being like, hey, that white guy with an acoustic guitar, he's special. Here's a deal.
I like that there is a way to be discovered as a musician. Like that is a thing that can happen. As a poet, I feel like there is no way.
I mean, it was more straightforward decades ago, as most, career paths in the creative field were. Like now I'm just like throwing shit up on Bandcamp and seeing what sticks. You couldn't do that in the 90s. Like that path I was describing earlier, that's more what it was like, in the 20th century. But now, like, there's just so many paths that it can happen through that you almost like don't know which if any you should actually try. So you end up doing like a little bit of all of them and not really committing to any of them, and now you're here.
That's so real. And
it's what I'm here for.
Because I'm thinking about like now the ways to be discovered as like a poet. Like the only ways that like I could be, like, I post a lot of stuff on Instagram. If I were discovered through Instagram and got a publishing deal, I'd be called an Insta poet. I would be like a Rupi Kaur. Like that's what it would be. And then if it was like through YouTube, then it's like, oh, a YouTuber published a book. Like it's a YouTuber book. And then it's like,
you saying you don't want to be an Instagram comedian?
Oh, I'm making those Vine videos. What is it? It's not Musical.ly. It's TikTok. That's what the kids are doing these days.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like that's like, okay, switching gears here. I feel like that's the one divide where like, because the thing is, we're like, I feel like we're like right on the line between millennial and Gen Z. Mm-hmm. I'm 96. I forgot what year you are.
I'm also 96.
Sweet. So yeah, depending on what study you look at, it can be either millennial or Gen Z or just like right on the line. I like to say it's like right on the line. And until now, I feel like I've been keeping up with exactly what Gen Z can do. I think TikTok is like the turning point where like this is the first time where I've said to myself, I don't get the youths, which at 22 is a weird thought. Mm-hmm. But now I'm just looking at like, fundamentally I do not understand. Back in my day we had Vine. That's like my mindset now when I look at stuff like that, is that everything about like the timing whenever I see those videos and like how jokes are placed and how I can't really tell what is a joke mm-hmm. and how it is supposed to be that. like because it's like the first time that I feel like I'm screaming down at the kids to get off my lawn.
Be like, get out of my internet. I don't know what this new place is. I'm scared.
Now I know what the 30 something music critics I follow on Twitter feel like on a daily basis.
Ooh, I'm like, I don't even know what that would be like. Do they just hate everything that's happening now?
Well, no. Well, I mean, not exactly. I feel like I follow, good ones, but they're out there.
Like, this is always the thing that's interesting, which is having people like different genres. Like, you would follow like music critics, and like that's a thing. I'm like, what do other people who are older think of like mumble rap?
Yeah, I mean, it depends. Like, I like to think that I keep my Twitter pretty smart as far as perspectives go. Not a full echo chamber, but I'd like to think that I keep the idiocy at bay however I can, outside of people quote tweeting the idiocy to dunk on it.
Oh, there's so many dunkers. So many dunkers.
Oh yeah, I follow the dunkers. I follow the dunkers.
I follow a lot of, I was telling my mom yesterday, she gets angry every time she gets on Twitter because, like, she follows a lot of, like, news people and, like, politicians, and so, like, she goes on there and it's, like, all political, and she'll always get angry at something if she, like, sees something in the news, and meanwhile I'm over here being like, look at this cute dog, look at this duck, oh, these are so adorable, a baby.
Look, Mom, this girl made a joke about depression.
That's exactly what it's like, though. And I think
and look, Mom, this other girl made a joke about depression. And look, Mom, this other girl made a joke about depression. And I have unrequited crushes on all of them. It's depressing. I didn't tell you that, though, because that would be weird of a conversation to have.
It's all Manic Pixie Meme Queen and, like, Dodie.
Yeah, I mean, I don't follow Dodie, but I know the aesthetic you're talking about. Yeah,
exactly. It's just it's
sort of that aesthetic. Yeah,
it's the cheery sadness. That's the sad girl thing. It's just like Lana Del Rey, like in full makeup, crying.
Yeah, I'm realizing now that whatever the 2019 equivalent of Manic Pixie Dream Girl is, I am weak for it, and I kind of hate myself for it. But it's like. Yeah, there's just like that aesthetic where it's like I think what I just tweeted out. Case I think what I'm gonna fair warning. I'm gonna quote my own tweet right now. I hope you're okay with that. I hope that doesn't immediately disqualify me from deserving this guest placement. Oh, it just got a whopping 4 likes now.
Wow.
I tweeted inspired by true story, by the way. Why do bands that play OC block parties in dad sashes, bucket hats, and Hawaiian shirts and say shit like, we're gonna slow it down a bit, this one's called California Trees, have on average 70% hotter fan bases than all other bands?
That and, like, cover bands. Cover bands are like...
Okay, you're gonna have to explain that one to me.
I'm like... Cover bands are like, they're always the people who are like in the club where it's like, they'll be playing like their own music like for a little bit, but then they'll play like those songs that like everybody loves. And then, like, the girls will swoon. That is all I know.
And that's your type.
I don't leave my apartment. I've heard of this. I've seen it in movies.
Yeah, that's fair. I tried going to a singles night at a bar once, like 3 weeks ago, because a comedian that I like, that I heard on a podcast, just posted on Instagram that they were hosting it, and I thought, oh, this could be fun, and I just did the thing where you stand in the middle of the room and everyone else is in their own group of 2 and 3, and like somehow you didn't even see the process of how all of those groups of 2 and 3 happened, but they somehow just materialized out of the ether, and you're the only one that didn't get the memo on that process, and now you're just there in the middle of it.
Sounds horrific. Just going anywhere, like, by myself that isn't just, like, I don't know, Taco Bell kind of scares me. Taco Bell and, like, a library, my safe spaces.
Taco Bells and libraries, the Ash Robles story.
Those are the places where you can find me, like, huddled in a corner, eating chips.
You want to have that loud of a snack at a library?
It depends on which library you're at. I like me in, like, a good, loud part of a library because I tend to just zone out.
Yeah, because I was going to say,
I won't hear real sounds.
If this is about not wanting to attract attention to yourself, eating chips in a library is going to do just that.
Yeah, I tried to have, I'd gotten Taco Cabana once, and so I had flautas, But the only spot that I could find was on the 6th floor, which is a quiet floor. And so I'm sitting in the very back corner, but I'm back there in my little cubby, and you just hear me crunching on these flautas, like, loud as heck. And I know that people are probably, like, looking towards the back of the library, but I'm in my cube. I can't see them, so I'm eating my flautas, and I don't care.
I figured I was gonna dunk this bottle into my trash can, but I just realized I'm using my trash can to prop up my mic right now.
You can very delicately place it. Perfect.
And but yeah, I like that everything's just devolving into sad boy introvert feelings.
Yeah, I feel like everyone is getting even more awkward than they were before. Me and my cousins just went out with my grandma like this past Friday to celebrate my cousin's birthday, and the waitress asked us if we wanted an appetizer, and we all panicked. Like, you should have seen all of us looking to each other, hoping that someone would take authority of the situation and say anything or to pick something. And then my cousin, whose birthday it was, we told her to decide. She's holding up a straw to the top of her lip like a mustache.
Oh my God. And
she's looking down like, I don't know, I've never gotten anything here. And then the waitress just like waits for like a good 30 seconds of silence before telling us that she'll come back in a minute.
See, weirdly enough, I feel like I've weirdly gotten over that kind of... I think because I've worked in food service for a year, like, I feel like I can just naturally talk to those people and empathize and stuff like that. Like, the last time I was at that Cheesecake Factory, you know, when you do that kind of thing, you just run into the same people over and over again. So, you know, it was one of those things where it's like the second time in a day, and they're like, oh, hey, what's your for this time? I was like, yeah, there's 3 orders I'm picking up today. And it was a Friday night at Cheesecake Factory, so you can only imagine what the vibe. And just like as soon as I picked up the last order, I was just like, "Hey, just so you guys know, I appreciate taking this much off your hands. I see you guys here, you know, and I empathize with your struggle." So I feel like I've done okay at like bypassing that form of social anxiety. But, like, there's still many others that I gotta work on, you know?
I wish that I didn't panic talk to everybody in every point of life. I'm one of those people who, which you've probably noticed, I start to talk really fast, and I start to think through a story, or and, like, freeze up. That's just who I am as an individual.
That's what podcasts are for. And I know from experience, you can just cut out any time you were awkward and no one will ever know.
Except for when there's those awkward jump cuts and you're like, why are they in a different position? How much time has passed? And then it's like, it was 20 minutes of me being uncomfortable.
Why is she wearing a different shirt?
I have done that in videos before where I'm just like, all of a sudden, sweatshirt, t-shirt, tank top. Who knows?
Because you were just stammering throughout the entire night, and it took you until a whole other change of clothes later
to feel like myself.
No, just to stop that stammer.
Yeah. That sounds like me when I try and go out anywhere, and then I just end up wearing like a big jacket and just like put a hoodie on, drink in a corner, and I'm like, this is it. This is the good life.
See, I feel like my brand of social weirdness has more morphed into... because like 75% of my closet, 75% of my closet is band shirts. So my brand of it is just like going out there, tailoring whatever event I'm going to a certain band shirt, and just hoping to God someone sees it and thinks I'm interesting, because I can't go up to people, but then they can come up to me.
Yes, that's the only time I've ever, I think, successfully socialized is when people have come up to me. Like at the Rooster Teeth live events, my friend Jake, I only met him because he saw me being awkward and alone at a table, and him and Gene came up to me and started talking to me. That's the only reason I became friends with him, because he was like, awkward and alone girl is here. I'm like, hi, I have no friends.
Wait, what was your t-shirt?
I was wearing... What did I wear? I was wearing a Rooster Teeth t-shirt. It was a green one.
Oh, there you go, yeah.
But it was at a Rooster Teeth event. It was at Gus's birthday party.
Right. Yeah, that's fair. Because like, here's the point. Like, I'm definitely gonna be wearing this for 2 a day at VidCon. Same with the SourceFed shirt.
Oh yeah.
Maybe a couple of the podcasts I'm subscribed to. Maybe I don't know, maybe someone there has heard of Are You Talking REM Me or Good Christian Fun. But yeah, just like all of the comedy content is going to be there, you know. But yeah, like case in point, like yesterday I went, like that block party tweet was inspired by a true story where a band did say that exact same that exact thing from the stage, and that was when I just gotten this T-shirt of the band Ghost at a Hot Topic. They're having two T-shirts for like buy one get one for $5, so I was like, why not? So I actually got that, and then a turquoise one that's the SpongeBob like Squidward, here lies Squidward's hopes and dreams.
Oh.
They had that, and I was like, okay, that. But yeah, I'll probably wear that to VidCon. Duh. I mean, SpongeBob is my favorite YouTuber. But I mean, they probably would. You know, they would. With what they're doing for the franchise. Anyway, but I wore this Ghost shirt to that block party for like the whole day, and got recognized and got more props for that for like over like maybe the afternoon and evening I was there than like the whole last couple weeks combined. And of course, it was all from Sway Dudes. You know, but yeah, but hey, you know, I feel like I'm in a weird point in my introversion where it's like I'm trying my best to fake it, you know, and trying my best to like, the term is like come out of your shell, and so I feel weird. I feel weird keeping up, you know, the brand of, oh guys, I have such social anxiety, because, you know, I feel like I could talk one-on-one with people, okay, but inside I'm still dying. That's the key.
Past a group of 5 people, I can't do it. If it's a small group of people, like, I'm okay, but it's like the moment that there's like a large mass and I'm supposed to like interact from like group to group, I can't do that.
Yep.
I'm like, if I got like a small group that like I know that I will be moving around with throughout the day, that's okay.
Exactly.
Which is why I'm looking forward to RTX, because I'm like, I know people here. I can do this.
But the thing is, like, even if you didn't know anyone else there, like, it's still a whole convention full of Rooster Teeth fans. Like, you're gonna have common ground, you know?
There is a thing that like at what is it? At VidCon, I never had this. I don't know if I was just like, it was because I was like 16. Like, I didn't feel like I really like interacted with like other fans, but like at RTX you'll be sitting in a line and like people will talk to you. Like the first year I was there was a group of high schoolers all cosplaying in Ruby things, and they like took me under their wing because they knew that I was new to Rooster Teeth stuff and explained, you know what, a plethora of things.
you know what that reminds me of is last month I went to this live show for Anthony Fantano, the Needle Drop. He's like the by far the biggest music reviewer on YouTube. He was doing this live show in LA, and I was just standing in line, and behind me, and I ended up basically, long story short, making friends with a lovely group of 4 music nerd gays. It's just this very niche demo that you can only get all together at once in this type of live show where we were talking about, where you could just, in the kind of crowd where you can just bring up like Death Grips and everyone would know, oh yeah, Death Grips, almost like it's a cliche topic, you know. So like that kind of thing. I just like it once it becomes the kind of event where you know those niche interests are like overlapping. That, I mean, like, case in point, like after that whole event was over, like, you know, we got each other's Twitters and then just immediately arranged to meet up at a Carly Rae Jepsen photo op meet and greet later that week. Yeah. At Amoeba in Hollywood. Which, fun fact, I found out after the fact that, so this is a limited thing where like only like 200 people or so that bought a CD in advance could go to it. And I only learned after I got home that Whitney Moore was there. And, oh yeah, I told you about this, that Whitney Moore was there, and I had, it all comes back to SourceFed, and I had no idea. So, rip.
That would break my heart.
Now I'm going to need your F in the chat.
I'm like, wait, you need to see it.
I need the typing. Thank you. I see that
This
you're
is the
typing.
importance.
I see you're typing. That's all I need.
But that I know that if I don't see Alyssa at the source, or not at SourceFit stuff, at the Sugar Pine things this year, I'm gonna be like brokenhearted.
Is Sugar Pine still going to be at RTX?
Yes.
Because they're not part of Rooster Teeth anymore. So that is that
They
going
are
to be weird for them?
partners,
Ah.
but yeah. So they're like how I'm trying to think of other people who are partners and not like owned. Like, isn't Cow Shop a partner? They don't have like a company card. I feel like.
But
Cow
what
Shop
you're saying is that Rooster Teeth didn't totally, Group 9 Sugar Pine 7.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
They're not completely out of everything. It was like our contract is we help you with what is it? Advertisers and merch, and you have like a company card and like budgets, and you guys get paid like insurance and stuff, and like healthcare is a thing that you have. But now we're helping you more than you're helping us, and so healthcare be gone, but merch still exists.
Okay. 'Cause I haven't listened to any of the. I'm gonna catch up. I promise.
Yes, it's important.
But yes, that should be fun. That should be a fun fair, because like it's sort of like what SourceFed did at a VidCon a couple years ago, when like they were booked to be there. But then they got
ended.
Group 9. Then they got Group 9, and it's like, well, we got a panel still, so that ended up being their last thing.
So we're at the end, and then same thing with like Couch Shop. Like Couch Shop is done at the end of the year, and so they're having like their panel is like literally like the last Couch Shop panel on Earth, I think is what it's called. And so
okay.
I'm going to RTX for the end of things. Like everything I go to is gonna be like, this is the last time we're here, guys.
Hell yeah! It's good to be at the end of things. I mean, I will say, last year, the one day that I wasn't there for at VidCon was for the ending of TanaCon.
Oh my god!
That was the one day that I couldn't be there. It was for the beginning and end of TanaCon.
The fact that she's invited this year as like a featured creator is wild.
She just came crawling back. I feel like that wasn't a big enough story, by the way.
Yes.
It got like casually mentioned on VidCon's Twitter, like, hey guys, like, just another featured creator. Without like, they could have thrown so much more shade in there.
I don't want it to be like something bad happens at VidCon, but I kind of want a story to come out of it. Like I secretly, deep in my heart, want something to go kind of wrong.
Oh, I mean, there's got to be something every year, and I'm not going to be missing 1 second of it this year. I can promise everyone that, and I'm going to be making a couple sweet ass live tweeting things when that happens.
I'm trying to remember what happened the year that I was there. I think that was the year that a bunch of British YouTubers got mobbed, and so like what is it? Charlie McDonnell and like Dan Is Not on Fire and like all of them got like mobbed by like a bunch of girls.
I'm trying to pinpoint what year that would be. That sounds like a very 2014 thing.
It was 2013.
But
yeah,
honestly, that was the first year to come into mind. But I was thinking, like, would you be going to VidCon that early?
Yeah, that was my like 16th birthday present. No, that was I was 16 at the time.
Yeah. I mean, if you're but yeah, teenager stuff. See, you were more in the demo for VidCon then than I will be this year. I've less of an excuse. I do have the creator track this year, so there's my excuse. I'm actually going to be learning about the content instead of just being a guy that consumes the content.
Yeah, I'm like, if I went back now, I don't know if I'd be like creator or industry. I'd probably like try and sneak into industry, see if I could find a guy who could like get me into some stuff, because I'm like, the technical things really interest me, but it costs so much money to get that industry pass.
Yeah, I think the creator will fit just fine. I think you have to be like an actual CEO of something in order to have the creator, in order to have the industry one be worthwhile.
Yeah, I'm like, from what I've heard, it's just very, very technical things within a business that those panels are. But I still wish that like someone would record those for me. Haven't been able to find them that easy. This is another thing that I feel like kind of comes up with when we were thinking about like which places to like work for earlier. My creative writing professor this last semester for like short stories and stuff, she was saying like if you want to be a writer, like your goal has to be like to get published if that's like what you want to do. And she was saying like you have to also like write to what you're trying to get into. And she's like, so if you want to like be published in the New Yorker, you got to be reading those poems like every week. You got to be like, what are the things that like they want from me? And then you got to write something specifically for them, which is something I haven't done yet, but I'm trying my best, which is like how do I write something? I'm trying to think of it as like how I would write a commission for someone, which is like I would write this to you. Like this is a theme that you gave me, but I'm also trying to do this theme, but do it how you would see this theme and then make it custom for you. So the New Yorker is a person who wants a poem. They like these kinds of things. They have this kind of vibe, and I want to make something that'll make them happy. But it's proving harder.
At the end of the day, we're all just trying to, when it comes to us creative type people, above you plebeians, we're just trying to make something that make you happy.
That is the goal in the end. That is
the
what
goal
all
of our
the nonsense
content
is for.
is always to entertain.
Imagination.
That was the third. That was the third.
Was that the third? I don't know.
We hit the quota. It was future. Actually, no. It was future's perfing department. It was the T-shirt, and so we're over the quota now.
See, we've done it, guys.
We're nothing if not overachievers. Yeah, making people happy, even if it means doing illegal things.
Oh, I'm just gonna have like that part, like making people happy with illegal things, and like nothing about like the recording in between there, and that's it.
Mark Berman 2020.
Just imagine.
If there's nothing else you take away from this, I did a music and it did a good.
It did a good. It did indeed. Oh, that was the one last note I didn't say.
Any other thoughts?
The guitar in between the chorus to the second verse of Simmer was just like, ooh, that's the good music.
Yeah. Yeah, because you were talking about how it's weird. Like, you know, I first posted this in the Creative Nonsense Discord, and like you described the instrumental as the beat, and it's like because like this is the first time I've worked with any kind of like programming and stuff like that. Like, it's the first time that something I've done could be described as the beat. You know, like you would in like a electronic or hip hop song or something like that. And of course, with all this said, I just, this past week, because it goes so quickly from clean to distorted, I finally, after 11 plus years of guitar playing, actually got a pedal so I can just stomp on this thing in a live setting and get it to go from the chorus to that post-chorus.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I love the technological advancements that have been made. You're really moving up in the world. That's how I feel about this setup right now. I'm like, I don't know how to use it yet, but it's the beginning of something. The pedal will start new great things.
Exactly. And like, granted, technology is not the newest thing I have in front of me right now, but it's a start.
Because that stack of CDs in front of you.
Yeah, comparatively. Well, in all fairness, the one on top here is a CD that was made this year, the new Carly. Shout out. So there's that. They still print those. They still make those CDs.
But how much money did they make is the true question.
I think Amoeba went pretty well. I mean, I think Amoeba came out of that pretty okay. They sold 200 copies of it for one meet and greet. That's pretty good.
Okay. I feel like at this point, like they're more like, oh, I went to a meet and greet and I got a CD. Will I play it or just stream it on Spotify? Real questions.
Yeah. That's a fair question. It's more of a collector's item at this point.
All of my mom's tapes that we can no longer play because they all got destroyed in the fire. Not the real fire, but the metaphorical fires of time.
Yeah, the one takeaway from this, stream dedicated, buy on iTunes. Wait, never mind. I was trying to go into like Stan language there, but
Yes,
just in my own
promo
style.
your album one last time. Like, that is another thing
The
that
EP,
I need.
this EP, participation trophies. I'm not sure if I said the title a lot, but participation trophies is the name of the EP. Basically, a lot of the themes revolve around. Oh yeah, this is something that I wanted to touch on actually because we were talking about college stuff. So you know, when I was writing a lot of this stuff, it was when I was deciding to take that gap year between when I dropped out of that one university and then end up switching majors. And basically a lot of it, like the title track is basically inspired by like this argument I had with my dad where essentially I was saying that, you know, I don't really care about making a crap ton of money at what I do. I just want to be able to get by and while, you know, doing what I love in some kind of capacity. And, you know, he didn't really get that. So I just wound up writing a whole song expressing my point of view there. And that wound up leading into the song Reverb, which is about, you know, feeling like you want to get the hell. It's like the pop punk getting out of this town, you know, trope, but it doesn't sound pop punk at all. But yeah, it's got a lot of themes surrounding like what the hell do I want to do with my ambitions and my dreams, and am I gonna put it aside for another couple of days or just go the frick for it? And what am I gonna do in order to make that happen? And then sort of another kind of theme coinciding with it about approaching a girl you think is cute, and feeling, and you know, social anxiety there. We touched on that, and the two just kind of converge, I guess, in certain moments. And it's weird, like just releasing this EP now, you know, after I graduated, I released it the week I graduated, and this whole thing being about not knowing what the hell I want to do with my life back when I just had the associate's degree.
Yeah.
So there's a weird kind of juxtaposition happening right now in me calling this my new material because it's very much, you know, reflecting what I was thinking about 2.5 years ago. But I'd still say it's still pretty relevant.
Yeah, because it sounds like it's very much like about like growing up and just being like, I'm moving on to like this next part of my life, but I have no idea what's happening and if I'm really here or if I'm somewhere else, and just kind of being in between. Basically. Things
with a good spicy dash of imposter syndrome.
Oh yeah,
for good measure. Yeah, the song Gaslighting is just entirely about that.
Adulthood would not exist without imposter syndrome.
Ooh, I got that quota filled. Plenty. So yeah, participation trophies. I mean, I'm sure obviously you're gonna be putting in links.
Oh yeah.
But fullyinvolvedmusic.bandcamp.com. Bandcamp is the main place. It's actually available on there for name your price. You can get it for free if you want, or because I realized, you know, Insolence, I put that up for $2 and it ended up being just kind of a barrier if more than anything else. So I was like, hey, you want to get it for free? Cool. You want to get it for $5, $20? I don't know. Help a recent college grad? That's cool too. It's also on Spotify, Spoofy, and Apple Music and iTunes RIP. And I'm pretty sure Tidal and Amazon, etc. All the places. Just look up Fully Involved, and it'll be there. Yeah. And then also, I suppose a good, you know, fortunately, one thing that I did recently that really was helpful in my last semester is that I also made a portfolio website for all of my other content as far as writings and video and audio and stuff. So if you want a nice summation of all that, as well as a link to my LinkedIn, if anyone out there is hiring for positions, yeah. I mean, I'm sure you're going to link this podcast as an example of your content. But you would go to thatmarkberman.com. That's the URL I decided to go with because my name is ungoogleable. And then also at MarkMadSounds is the Twitter handle, and probably the best place to keep up with if you want to know anything the hell I'm doing. Or at Fully Involved SD is the music specific one. A conflict of interest is reached. Put up with the attempts to teach all
the ways I am failing and how I am failing to safer ways to find my niche. Like how all of my friends who are happy to spend time to frame their success on a wall, they somehow have less fear